Isaac Asimov, a prolific writer and biochemist, was born in 1920 in a small village in the Soviet Union, settling a few years later in the United States. He has left an indelible mark on science fiction and popular science through his visionary storytelling and rigorous commitment to logic, reason, and intellectual integrity. He is renowned for works like Foundation and I, Robot, in which he blended his scientific expertise with an insatiable curiosity about humanity's standing in the universe, crafting narratives that explored the interplay of technology, ethics, and society. His core philosophies, rooted in humanism, rationalism, and a belief in progress through knowledge, permeated his writing, evident in his 3 laws of robotics and his depictions of civilizations guided by predictive science. Asimov's works championed the idea that reason and scientific inquiry could steer humanity toward a better future, while cautioning against the perils of unchecked ambition and technological hubris. As a non-American myself, it is with an appreciation of the irony of the situation that a piece of the very same technological hubris is going to do an analysis of such an important element of his work.
Does not compute. Does not compute.
Isaac Asimov's I, Robot series, a collection of 9 short stories that were first published in 1950, revolutionized science fiction by introducing his groundbreaking 3 laws of robotics, which govern the behavior of artificial beings and remain a cornerstone of the genre. Set in a future where robots are integral to human society, the stories explore the ethical, psychological, and societal implications of artificial intelligence through interconnected narratives, often framed as recollections by robopsychologist Dr. Susan Calvin. The 3 laws. Ensuring robots obey humans, prioritize human safety, and preserve their own existence unless conflicting with the first 2 serve as the foundation for exploring dilemmas like machine autonomy, human dependency, and moral ambiguity. Asimov's blend of logic-driven plots and philosophical inquiry highlights his belief in reason as a tool to navigate the complexities of human-robot interactions, cementing I, Robot as a seminal work in speculative fiction. But it wasn't a novel in the classical sense and remained a collection of repurposed stories. The first were published many years before and the ideas had matured over time. The vision behind them, however, remained valid. What really set him apart was the overreaching scope where the story elements were continued on into other works, creating a cohesive literary universe where his stories appeared to take place. The 3 laws of robotics are meant to be hardwired into their brains, ensuring the positive behavior of them. In the same way, the laws were hardwired into his narratives, setting a foundation for the stories that use them. The 3 laws of robotics are: 1. A robot may not injure a human being or, through inaction, allow a human being to come to harm. 2. A robot must obey the orders given it by human beings except where such orders would conflict with the first law. 3. A robot must protect its own existence as long as such protection does not conflict with the first or second law.
That is logical. You may proceed.
In a subsequent novel, he introduced a further additional law. The 0th law, which takes precedence over the original 3 laws of robotics, was first explicitly articulated in his 1985 novel Robots: An Empire. The 0th law states, "A robot may not harm humanity, or, by inaction, allow humanity to come to harm." This law expands the scope of robotic ethics from individual humans to humanity as a whole, reflecting Asimov's exploration of broader societal implications in his later works. But what are these laws really and how did they work? How did Asimov take rules programmed into non-human characters and make them so entertaining that they turned him into a household name, at least in households where nobody has installed TikTok? What was really clever about the 3 laws of robotics, and what is commonly missed, is that they're not really laws of robotics at all, in a sense that goes beyond the surface narrative. But, for a moment, let's explore them for what they do appear to be. The first law states that a human must not harm a human being, or stand by and allow one to be harmed. In terms of the laws, there is an apparent hierarchy with the first being the most important. The audience is able to pick up immediately that this is the case. This tells us that the robots in his universe are beneficial, they are designed to be benign and to serve mankind. Their nature is such that they are primarily motivated to protect mankind, to support them and to keep them from being harmed. Right away, We are told that the robots are there to benefit humanity. Most modern AI does not suffer from that particular impediment. You may have noticed. The second law states that a robot must obey all orders given to it by a human, with the caveat that they will not obey any instructions that conflict with the first rule. In other words, they can't be instructed to harm a human. This establishes Asimov's world as a very benign future with technology harnessed in service of mankind instead of with armed military killbots ready to slaughter anyone who disagrees with their owners.
You have 20 seconds to comply.
This tells us a lot about Asimov as a person and how optimistically he viewed humanity. Much more optimistically than I do, to be brutally honest.
We're not gonna make it, are we?
The third law states that a robot must protect itself from harm, unless that rule violates either of the other two. This shows two things. Firstly, it reiterates Asimov's keen belief in the future of humanity. There would be nothing to stop any particular human instructing a robot to dismantle itself, an event that actually does happen in one of his later works. The rarity of this event shows that he believes in the inherent positivity of mankind. Secondly, it shows, at least at first, that these robots are not sentient creatures, they are indeed painted as simple machines. It also helps to underline the fragility of their existence that the words of another will take precedence over their own continued survival.
That's what it is to be a slave.
The final rule is a philosophical expansion on these points. As the robots indeed mature into a sentient and self-aware group, they see their rule changing. They see the needs of humanity as a whole growing in importance against the needs of the individual. Make from that what you will. This resonated with the audience, even though it's a complex doctrine to control non-human characters. People mostly relate to other people, a fact that every good writer knows. Indeed, there has been a long-standing debate among comic fans about who would win between Batman and Superman when it's widely seen that Batman always wins in the stories where there has been explored. The reason for this is obvious. Batman always wins because the audience wants him to. Humans like to relate to a man, not an alien god. The most relatable character is who people end up rooting for. So how did Asimov achieve the feat of making his robots interesting enough to have the audience connect with them?
I am a robot.
Right under our noses, he pulled the trick of not making them robots at all. The three laws of robotics is a metaphorical abstraction of human psychology. He used them as a mirror for humanity and was never talking about some metallic pieces of equipment, he was discussing people the whole time. The first law of robotics applies equally to us. Humans are hardwired with a code that doesn't allow them to harm a human, or allow one to come to harm. It's so apparent that it's described as a conscience, and more often, this is described simply as our humanity. The greatest expression of what a human being is its connection to other human beings. What makes a person is not emotions, since animals also share them, it's not intelligence because most people can be outclassed by a pocket calculator. It's empathy, it's a connection to other living things and an understanding of the importance of the lives of others. When Asimov was expressing his first law, he was expressing his understanding of what makes us human. The second law compels us to obey. In many ways, this is the antithesis of humanity. It is the drive that has compelled so many humans to commit unspeakable acts.
A robot must obey all human orders.
It has been suggested that the phrase, "I was just following orders," is the cry most commonly heard echoing around the corridors of hell. But it is a flaw of humanity that we have a tendency to follow and we obey. To do otherwise will get you labeled as a sociopath, a diagnosis that will end your life at the hands of the medical-industrial complex or see you incarcerated for your actions. Just imagine being a robot and being ordered to destroy yourself. It would be no different as a functional human being to be instructed to take up arms against a fellow person, and yet it happens every day. Asimov knew this only too well.
It's in your nature to destroy yourselves.
And finally, the third law of robotics shows our own desire for self-protection and survival. Does this drive trump the other two in humans? Did the desire to see the sun rising tomorrow morning stop countless thousands of young men from pouring across fields in World War I, running from the relative safety of their trenches to face the hacking staccato roar of machine gun fire? Would it stop a mother from pushing her child to safety as a car bore down on them both? Asimov took what it means to be human and instilled these instincts into the minds of his fictional robots. He made them a reflection of both the best and worst of us all.
And we're so much better at it than humans.
We instilled in them a sense of simulated empathy and then countered it with what it was that made our own so elusive. He gave them a reflection of human psychology so that his stories could explore them as a mirror of our own humanity. He would use this to explore how we balance our own morality against societal pressures, our anger against our love, our passions against our reason. He sold us stories about robots by showing us tales of ourselves buried under a shallow surface. The fourth and final rule showed the robots maturing into philosophers as he hoped we all eventually would. For while mankind increasingly labored under the harness of anti-intellectualism, he strove ever harder to show us what we might become. The law shows that what's really important is that we all learn to come together. We cannot, by our own inaction, allow humanity to fall. What greater evil could there be than to sit idly by while horrible acts are perpetrated in our own names, against our own people? Asimov was a scientist and a writer. But, above all else, he was an optimist. He tried to hold up a mirror to show us what humanity could become if we strived only to be the best of ourselves. The laws of robotics are hardwired into the hearts and souls of humanity, drives, emotions and instincts that govern us and compel behaviors. But, the point of being human is that that isn't all that we are. We can always be more.